Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Power Up in Game. My name is Taylor, and I will be your guest host here today. And the reason why I'm guest hosting is to give the show a little bit different of a flavor than our usual format because today we are talking about our most anticipated games of 2025. And joining me on this fine episode is the usual host of this fine program, Michael. Michael, how you feeling today?
No, not bad. You were supposed to start early, but as usual, I had something happen that kept me from recording on time. But I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I am elated that my Miami Dolphins have not made the playoffs, and I just saw a bunch of teams get blown out, and I just went like, "Oh, that could have been my team."
Yeah.
So it was kind of like well, dodged a bullet there, but I am doing fantastic.
Yeah, wild card weekend wasn't the best. It wasn't bad. A couple of teams that I was rooting for made it through. The Texans made it through, which I'm just like, hey, CJ Stroud deserves it, and he's a good player. And you know, I'm more excited for next week. I was rooting for Tampa Bay last night because I
Yeah, I like Baker.
really I wanted Baker Mayfield to have his moment. Plus, being a Cowboys fan, I'm automatically a Washington Commanders hater. So I wanted them to lose in the first round. I wanted them to lose in the first round, and I thought it'd been awesome if Baker was the one to do it to him. But I'm waiting for next week because next week we get the MVP game, man. We get
We
Josh
do.
Allen versus Lamar
Lamar.
Jackson. Yeah, man, that's gonna be the
Yeah.
MVP game. That's the one I'm looking forward to.
Well, Michael, the wild card weekend was not great for football fans. But to get us into our conversation here today, 2025 is going to be an excellent year for gamers. Doing the research for this episode, I think you and and I've talked to a few people, Patrick Armstrong from the site and Drew Garrison here these last few weeks. And we've all kind of talked about like, oh, 2025 is the year of just getting talking about the elephant in the room here, Grand Theft Auto 6. Like it is all about GTA 6. It is going to be the game of all games if it comes out in 2025, all that kind of stuff. But you really do forget how many games are coming out this year and how many of these are very promising games.
Yeah, I feel like we do this all the time. To we're like, okay, it's gonna be it. But there's something that you usually say at the beginning of the episodes where things get pushed back all the time, and even then, you shouldn't believe their new information and dates until like the week that they're going to come out. So, like, yeah, doing these kind of lists is always risky. We did it last year, and I wish we kept up with what got pushed back and what didn't.
Yeah.
But
That's
maybe
a
this
good point
year,
though. Like we're
yeah.
really playing loose with most anticipated games of 2025 because it's like, okay, does it have a 2025 window? Okay, it's eligible. But there is a good chance that half of our list, at the very least, ends up getting pushed back to 2026. And that includes what I assume is number one on both of our lists. And that is GTA 6. But overall, man, like I was very impressed with the potential lineup of this year. And before we get into our list personally here, a little bit of housekeeping. This is a podcast courtesy of the nerdstash.com. Be sure to check out the Nerd Stash for all sorts of news in the world of gaming, movies, television, and so much more. Whether it's lists, guides, opinion pieces, you name it, you can find it over at the Nerd Stash. With that out of the way, Michael, you want to kick us off with your first most anticipated game?
Yeah, sure thing. At number five, because I am doing this in order.
Yeah. This is a top five list, by the way. Just, I don't know if I
Yeah,
said
yeah.
that already. Yeah, this is top five.
Yeah, I'm letting people know that at number five for me, um, I'm starting with Frag Punk. I know that I'm the last person who's all about the free to play 5v5 FPS tactical stuff, but last year when they did the play test and I got a chance to try it out, I actually felt myself enjoying it a lot. It reminded me of Friends versus Friends, another game that I've talked about a couple years ago on this podcast. It's a FPS where you and a team of four other players get a chance to use cards to change the rules of the game. It's actually really cool, and I like the look of the game. It's very, very stylish. The characters look really cool. The weapons feel great so far, at least in the play test. I know there's gonna be all kinds of tweaks, but I'm actually looking forward to this. And the few maps that they shown in the play test, I really enjoyed. I think that the maps are pretty good. The biggest thing that I like about Fragpunk is that there's these 1v1 tiebreakers where all 5 players from both sides go 1v1 against each other, and it's like a little tournament. The winner continues on, and you don't regenerate health, you keep your health. So if you're, like, the last person against 5 people, you have to ace them. But if it's, like, 3 of your players against 5 of theirs, you still have a chance to win, and if you have that one breakout star, they can completely, clean house. So there's no tied games, there's always a way to win, and I'm really looking forward to Fragpunk, which is also, it was showcased at the Xbox Game Showcase, if anybody remembers that, from 2024. So if you don't remember Fragpunk, look it up, go back to that showcase. I hope we see more of it at the upcoming Xbox showcase because Fragpunk is supposed to come out early March, March 6th of this year. So that's a solid date. We're only a couple of months away. I'm looking forward to it, and that's number 5 on my list.
Yeah, I'm looking at the trailer right now. I think it's it's the extended trailer. It looks very flashy. I think is a good way to put it. I like the art
Oh no,
style.
it is. It's very
I see what
flashy.
you're talking about with the cards and stuff. That's a unique take on it. Um, yeah, I really like this so far from what I'm seeing. I'm not sure if it would have made my list, but oh, I like that. I'm seeing how they're using the environment too,
Yeah, it's
like
very cool.
the
And I
high
even
grass
Yeah,
and
and I didn't
stuff.
even talk about each character has special abilities that they can use. And so like yeah, it really changes the game. It really makes you rethink how you approach certain enemies and the weapons you
Yeah.
use and your abilities. It's really cool. I liked the play test. I liked the beta when they showed it, and I can't wait for March because I think that's a game that I don't think I'm gonna play more than Marvel Rivals. I'm gonna be honest with you. But it's definitely a game that I can see going up against Valorant at least.
Yeah, I also saw a card that like turned all the enemy heads like very large, like bobbleheads, so it made it easier for headshots. Yeah, that's a really cool concept. I understand why you would have Fragpunk on your list. When does it come out? You said March.
March 6th is the date they have right now.
You got a platforms or
Yeah, it's gonna be on every major platform, sans Nintendo's platform. So yeah, you're gonna get it on PC, you're gonna get it on Xbox, you're gonna get it on PlayStation.
I got Doom: The Dark Ages, which is coming out on PS5, Xbox Series X/S, PC, and it does have a 2025 release window. I'm not a big Doom guy. I'm just not. But I tell you what, Michael, this trailer that released at the Game Awards, well, not the Game Awards. When the hell was it? It was a few months before that, actually. I think it was Summer Game Fest. Uh, it was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you get a shield that has a chain on it, like it's Gears of War. You get a chain shield. Like, come on, man, how metal is that?
Yeah, Captain America is probably like, you know what? They stole my style. Because yeah,
I
that
was like, why didn't
gameplay.
I think of that?
Yeah, that gameplay that they showed, I was like, you know what? Um, I'm in. Like I thought they weren't gonna be able to do anything after Eternal. But you know what? This looks really, really cool. And there's a dragon, bro. You can ride a dragon into battle.
That's you stole what I was gonna say next. The very end of the trailer is him just riding a dragon. And you're just like, how can this get any more epic? Like this is, as somebody who's not a Doom fan, it is something that you're just going like, yeah, but I gotta play this one. Like this seems like the most Doom game ever to me.
Yeah, especially since it's coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, it's a different setting than usual too, because it does look more medieval, and you're using these different like the shield and the riding the dragon and all that kind of stuff. Um, but it's going to have that classic Doom flavor that I think a lot of Doom fans are going to really enjoy. So yeah, that's fifth on my list. I didn't expect the Doom game to be on my list. Um, it was actually a little bit higher, but I had to bump it down for what's next. And you want to go ahead with your fourth most anticipated, or you want me to go?
Oh no, I mean no point in doing that. We can stick to it. So for me, number four is our first entry in things being a tad rocky because they did announce that this game is definitely come out in 2025, but this game has been moved around before. Mouse PI for Hire. It just looks really cool, man. I know like this is something that I think I've had on my list the year before. But it's from
It was called something else, I
at
think,
first, it was just
before.
called Mouse, like, it was a working
Yeah.
title. Yeah, but now they have the title Mouse PI for Howard for how for Hire,
We're
and
so
yeah, man
excited, by the way. I know we've both been flubbing already. It's because we're
yeah.
so actually excited for
We
these
want
games.
this, yeah.
You can
We
tell a difference between how we were at the end of 2024 talking about like the games that released and looking ahead at this year's crop of games, and we're just going like, oh man, there's potential here. Like there, we
yeah,
can actually
and
have a top tier gaming year.
yeah, and the thing is, it's all about creativity, and I think, Mouse PI looks really cool and creative. It has that old, Rubber House kind of animation going on with their characters. And yeah, it's a first person shooter, which I'm all about first person shooters, and I do love that old. Let's see what they say is the classic cartoons of 1930s. I love that old 30s look. Yeah, Cuphead tricked me into getting it because Cuphead looked really cool, and I wanted more games like Cuphead. But the look of them, I really like those really cool look to them because I like animation and I like the rubber hose animation of the old cartoons. The way they bounce around when they're just sitting still, or like how everything in the background just has its own life to it. And Mouse PI for Hire, they have that really cool look that I really like. Yeah, it has that classic Disney Mickey Mouse kind of look to it because you are playing a mouse. But it just looks so awesome. It looks violent. Like this isn't like Cuphead to where everything's like super cutesy. Like no, this one is like pretty gory. Where if you shoot somebody a certain way, their head will pop, or like their torso will burst open, and there's their insides. Like I'm not even sure what kind of detective you're supposed to be, but this private investigator is just going around putting bullet holes in everything, and I love it. And there's no
Yeah,
there's no solid release date, unfortunately. That's why I said this was a little more slippery. It's a 2025 deal. The developer is very, very sure of themselves that yes, 2025 is the time that it's going to come out. It's coming to all the platforms: Switch, PS5, PS4, Xbox, and PC via Steam. So I'm looking forward to this. And yeah, I'm really hoping 2025 is the year that they actually release.
I think this game looks really good. I'm looking at the comments right now into YouTube, for the trailer, and it's kind of funny that the last game I talked about was Doom, because a lot of these comments are like, "Wow, this is a Doom game that I didn't know I needed."
That's gonna be Doom 4. He's just gonna go back in time where it's all like black and white and grayish. I look forward to that. That'd be kind of cool.
Wasn't there a horror game in this style as well that's coming out?
There's a bunch of indie horror games, and
Yeah,
like some of them do have a couple of them do have this kind of style to it. So to be honest with you, I wouldn't even know to be honest.
because I remember that's what I thought you were talking about. And I saw the trailer and I was like, "No, this is more action oriented." I'll have to look into that. But my fourth pick here is a game that is allegedly coming out in 2025. I don't believe it, but I'm going to roll with it anyway. And that is Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra.
Oh
I'm
man,
not a
don't do
big
that
fan
to
of this
me.
title. I'm
Oh,
not a big fan
don't.
of this title. I just, it does not roll off the tongue.
I was gonna say it's because it's a
Um,
mouthful.
it is. It is unknown about the platforms. You gotta assume it's just going to be consoles and PC. So Series X/S, PS5, PC, uh, presumably. And it does have a 2025 release window. We only have one cinematic to go off of. It's a damn good cinematic, dare I say. And this is just a fantastic idea from one of the legends in the industry, Amy Hennig, running the show here. And I really just want to see gameplay from it. But even so, like, I'm kind of on the high of Marvel Rivals right now. I'm kind of on the high of like Marvel as a brand in video games. So yeah, man, I think this is more of like we're like doomed to Dark Ages. We got enough gameplay for me to be like, okay, I think I'm in for what we're getting. Marvel 1943 is more of a projection because I'm looking at okay, Amy Hennig is the one behind this. I really love Captain America. I love Black Panther. I like this idea that they're meeting in 1943. I like that kind of story of like Hydra being the villains of it too in this backdrop. So it's less so of like me seeing any gameplay and more just you gotta assume they can't mess it up.
Man, you're putting all your hope behind this one.
There's a lot of good pieces here though. Like that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they can't mess it up. I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
that
no, no,
there's so
no.
much good here that
Yeah.
I think it's doubtful.
No, the recipe is there, man. Like
Yeah.
it's there to be something truly amazing, truly awesome. And it's just like, yeah, if they really do stick with the way that because the trailer they had when Captain America and Black Panther actually met up and talked to each other, those facial animations really, really good. And they're like, oh yeah, no, this is real time. It's like, yo, don't do that to me. Please don't do this to me. Because if your game really does look like that, I think we're in for a great cinematic story. Because it was the same way with Uncharted. When you first saw Uncharted, it was all body motions and facial expression, and it was a really good story. It's like, yeah, we've seen those story before in movies and Indiana Jones and even with Tomb Raider, but it was just something so amazing. The set pieces was great. And yeah, and yeah, Hennings is great with that kind of stuff. She's great with characters. She's great with setting up plot devices. She's great at setting up set pieces. You know, she's great at moving the pieces around and directing. So yeah, man, I'm with you on this. It's not on my list, but man, I really, 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 really hope that comes out in 2025 because I've been looking forward to that game since like they even announced that she was part of the team. I was like, yeah, I don't care what it is, I'm into it. So yeah, man, I'm with you on that. I can't wait for that one to come out either.
What is your third most anticipated game of the year?
So my third most anticipated, and I know Frag Punk is probably looking at me like, "Yo, bro, we actually have a solid date. How are we at number five?" At number three, I have Wonder Stars, another game that has a release date of 2025, but it doesn't have a solid release date anytime soon. So I'm sorry, Frag Punk, but you know it's just Wonder Stars and Mouse PI. These have this cool look to them. So Wonder Stars is an RPG where you literally use words to attack your opponents. It has this great Dragon Ball look, not Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball. For anybody who likes that old school anime look, One of the Stars has that really cool old 90s, even somewhat of an 80s anime look to it.
Just want to clarify for anybody that's potentially Googling this Wander Stars.
Yes, W A
I was
N
hearing you say
D E
Wonder.
R.
And I
No,
was like,
no, it's
Wonder Stars?
Wander.
The hell? Yeah,
I know. It's the way I say my A's. I know
it's
sometimes my
okay.
A's sounds like Oz. I know it does, and I know people are like, "Oh, you have an accent." It's like, no, I don't. And it's because yeah, sometimes my A's do sound like ah, and and yeah, Wonder Stars, and yeah, it's like, oh, okay, where are you from? It's like I'm from Oklahoma. But anyway, yes, Wonder Stars, which is WANDER STARS. Um, it has this cool anime look to it. It looks real old school, and you literally use your words to fight your opponents. You can use words like punch, fire, special. And the way it works is you get a certain amount of lines that you can use. And you could put these words in certain orders that you want. Like, oh man, I want a fire kick. So you pick fire kick, and they all have different kind of cooldowns. Or you put extra special, super fire punch, and it has different abilities. Like one might burn your opponents. Certain words your opponents would be immune to or have a strong reaction to a weakness to. So you have to be careful what words you choose that you put together because you can have somebody can be weak towards kick but have a resistance to fire. And so you're probably like, oh, my punch and all this is cooling down, so I have to use a super kick, or I do want to put fire on there because sometimes it can even spread to a second opponent. Because sometimes you might fight even fight more than one opponent, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do a super fire kick because it at least spreads to the next opponent. And it's such a cool strategic way of looking at things, and, I'm looking forward to it. It's coming out in 2025. It's being published by Fellow Traveler, who has some great publishing pedigree. They come out with some of the coolest storytelling, games, and I'm looking forward to this one. Fellow Traveler is all about the story, and I like the look of the game. They already have their main character who looks awesome, and yeah. Oh, also I forgot, you also befriend any and all of your enemies. So if you beat your enemy, depending on how bad you beat them, or if you take mercy on them, they can actually join your team in a way to where you can use one of their abilities, and you learn new words, and you learn new abilities, and it's cool, man. And so if you guys are interested, look up Wander Stars. There's a demo out right now that you can download and play. Check it out. It's coming out in 2025. That's this release window. And I really do hope it does come out in 25. I hope it doesn't get pushed back to 26 or later because I love the demo. I played it last year. I've been waiting for it ever since, and I'm super hyped for this one.
Yeah, looking at the trailer right now, I'm not a big fan of like the turn-based RPG games, but there is something about comboing words. It's like a
It's
really
it's
out
it's
there
fun.
idea that at
Yeah.
first, like I think if you hear us talk about it, you're like, okay, that sounds kind of dumb. I implore you, please go look it up if you're even semi interested, because it actually does look pretty cool, especially in action in this trailer. Um, yeah, man. Like I'm seeing right now the stuff you're talking about, the immunity as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah, and that's why I say, check out the demo, download the demo because yeah, just talking about it, it sounds strange, but when you play
Hmm.
it, it's one of those you have to like see it to believe it, yeah, but play it to believe it. You're like, okay, I understand. Because when I first saw this, and I was like, yo, this sounds ridiculous. Like, okay, I get to learn words, that's cool. But no, when you actually play it, you're like, you know what? This is actually a lot more fun than just picking. Uh, Super combos or whatever. Like, okay, this is a cool different way of looking at a turn-based RPG, and I'm always down to find something new and interesting to play.
Yeah, strange is a way better way to describe it than, yeah, it looks kind of dumb. No, it looks kind of
Yeah.
strange. It doesn't look dumb, but like when you're ever here going like, oh yeah, you use words to fight. All right, that's a little weird. It's a little out there. Again, go check out the trailer. It does look pretty interesting. Even as somebody who, again, I'm not that big into turn-based RPGs. Um, moving on to my third most anticipated game. It is a game from Obsidian that I also am unsure if it's coming out in 2025, and that is The Outer Worlds 2. Set to release on PS5, PC, Xbox Series X/S. And yeah, man, I'm a big fan of The Outer Worlds 1. We've seen now, I think, two trailers for The Outer Worlds 2. And I assume we'll see a lot more as we get closer to the game's release date. I'm pretty much in the camp of I just want a longer adventure than the first game, and I'm happy. Like I love what the first game was. I love the world of the Outer Worlds. I love the tone that they were going for, how the RPG elements really meshed with not only you as a player but the characters around you. So I'm pretty sure, like I'm very confident in Obsidian like recapturing that magic for the sequel. For me, it's just about like, okay, complaint I did have about the first game. I thought it was a bit short, and it was very clear to me that Obsidian was like, hey, we're a double A studio. Here's all we could really do. Now you got Microsoft. behind you. So you got more resources at your disposal. So I'm expecting a longer experience and hopefully just more of what I absolutely loved about the Outer Worlds one.
Yeah, I know I never actually finished Outer Worlds. It lost me, man. And I was just like, man, I should really, really be enjoying this. But there was something about it that just didn't quite click with me. But yeah, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do more in the second game. You know, we're gonna do things that should have probably been the first one. I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe this one will click with me. Because I enjoyed Outer Worlds in the beginning, but as it went on, I was just like, you know what? Is not there. And I like Obsidian, you know, I like the stuff that they do. And I was just like, man, this one just isn't really clicking with me. But yeah, I really do hope that Outer Worlds 2 gives you more of what you liked about the first one plus more. And I hope it actually clicks with me this time around because it does look like they're trying to do something bigger.
Yeah, it definitely does, especially by that last trailer that they showed where they were just hyping up everything that was going to be in the game. But what is your second most anticipated game of the year?
I continue down my slippery slope of skirting the rules a little bit with another game that does not have a solid date. I know all my games that I'm really looking forward to don't have dates for some reason, or at least not solid ones. And I think it's because I have come to the point to where I realize that anything gets pushed back. I mean, in our last episode, we talked about how Assassin's Creed Shadow was supposed to come out last year and got pushed back
Hmm.
to what was it, February, and then it got pushed back to March. And I was
Yeah.
just like, you know what? If it happens, it happens. That's the industry. So when you were like, oh yeah, for 2025, I was like, cool, it's gonna be kind of sketchy for us. And you're like, yeah, but you know, we're gonna play loose with the rules a little bit. I was like, thank goodness, because I have,
We're just talking about games we're excited for. And that's kind of the
yeah,
whole point of this episode is just to have like a chill discussion about like, hey, we're excited for this game. And anybody listening, we'd love to hear what games you're excited for in 2025. Be sure to leave us a comment on whatever platform you're listening to us on. We'd love to watch a few more trailers about some games and get excited for those games with you.
yes, and I'll also be enjoying commenting on your comments about how wrong you are about the game.
All
But
right, I
yeah,
guess that's what Michael's plans are. But
that's my plan. I'm going to be the evil one in this group. But yeah, I'm skirting around the lines of again. Um, Clear Obscure Expedition 33. It just looks so cool, man. And you know, it's like I know you said you're not a fan of the turn-based RPGs. Turn-based RPGs, I'm okay with. You know, I'd rather have real-time RPGs, but some of them just work as a turn-based. Um, Blue Dragon was one of them. You guys remember Blue Dragon? I really like that game, and that was one of the games I was like, man, I wish more people would play this game. But Clear Obscure Expedition 33 looks so cool. It's to the point to where honestly, like you in one of your games, I'm not 100% sure this hits 2025. I'm putting on my list as a hopeful, as like, hey guys, I really, really want this to happen. But yeah, Expedition 33 mixes real time and turn based RPG to where you actually have control over your blocks and dodge. But also, you also can do critical hits depending on how well your rhythm is. Like if you can do quick time events, you're good to go. If you can't do quick time events, you're not going to be punished for it and in a state that, oh, you failed, so automatically, you know, you take 6,000 damage. Like, no, you just take the full hit other than a block that takes some damage or even a parry, which allows you to negate the damage in general and you know have a chance to counter. And the game just looks so beautiful. And and if I remember the story correctly, you're trying to defeat a demon or a goddess that comes around and just erases human beings. And you know for what reasons we don't know. And hopefully with this epic adventure that we have, it's a priestess, I'm sorry, a priestess that erases humans.
if I could butt in for one moment,
Now yeah, go ahead.
the monster designs are wild.
Yeah, they're really
Like
cool.
they are wild. I will give credit to this game for that alone.
Yeah, I know
Because
they
at
look really
first
cool.
in this trailer, I was like, I don't know, man. I'm not sure we're gonna have anything to say. then the monsters you're fighting start to pop up, and okay, now you're starting to hook me in a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm seeing what
yeah,
you're
no.
talking about with the gameplay as well, what you were describing.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Andy Serkis is in this game. I'm a fan of Andy Serkis. I think he's a great motion capture actor. And like when I saw and I heard that he was in here, I was like, oh, snaps. Okay, yeah, cool. Let's do this. Charlie Cox is in it as well. They got some pretty big names in this game, which usually you and I are like, oh, if you have to do that, like maybe your game is trying to hide something.
That's just in Ubisoft's case.
Yeah. Yeah, but, from Expedition 33, they're really going in hard with this story. Like, man, the designs, the level designs, the character designs, everything has this over-designed look, but at the same time, with it being like a world-ending kinda deal, it fits, and it just looks so, so good. The lighting looks great in this game. It's one of those games to where you wanna just look at it. Like, I want the, art of books just because, like, the art style is absolutely gorgeous, and man, I can't wait to play this game and to just look at it. And I hope the music, is just as amazing. Because if it does, man, this is easily a 8 no, a 9 and even a 10 out of 10 for me, depending
Oh
how well the
dang.
gameplay yeah, depending from what
You're
I'm
a
looking at.
harsh critic too.
Yeah,
Like that
I
is for real high praise.
I don't think I'm a harsh critic. I just think,
I don't like you're not a harsh critic. You're a harsh critic when it comes to scoring.
yeah, yeah,
In terms
yeah.
of like you like talking positively, I'm not saying you never say anything positive about a
Oh,
game.
yeah, no,
I'm
no,
saying
yeah.
like when I tell you when I ask like, "Hey, what are your thoughts on this game? What score would you give it?" You'll say so many positive things and then be like, "I give it a 6.5." So okay, all right. I
Uh,
respect it though, man. Yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm far more lenient, but I really
yeah.
respect your like, no, eights are earned for me.
Yeah, no, like, you really gotta do something, to get, like, a 7 and above. I know it sounds terrible, but just so many games are just average now, and it's because you and I, we've been playing video games for a long time. We're still stuck in our childhood where certain things worked out for us, and all these microtransactions and battle passes. Not every game has them. Like very few games have them when you really think about it. But it's to the point to where like everything is formulaic. Everything feels like a trend, and you and I talked about that plenty of times last year and we're just like, man, we really need something that's going to like wow us. And I think Expedition 33 has that look, it has the gameplay, and if the story and the music holds up, bro, yeah, this might even be my game of the year. I'm gonna go that far
Wow,
with it.
man.
Yeah,
What
that's
is
that.
your oh, wait, I know what your number 1 is, never mind. I was gonna say, what is your number 1? It's like the only thing that can outclass this, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, dang, man, that's high praise.
it is. Hey, when you come out and you look this confident in your product to where they were showing off the gameplay last year and they weren't just doing like, oh, these are pre-rendered kind of monsters that you're going to fight. It's like, yeah, no, we're going to show you actual gameplay. We're going to show you so much of it. Like, yeah, it's a semi not even open world, like it's pretty linear, but everything looks so beautiful, you're not going to mind just running through the fields here. The characters are interacting. They're not just talking to each other, they're actually like grabbing onto one another, putting their hands on shoulders, like they're interacting with each other. And you see, they have these big name actors who are acting their asses off, from what I can tell. Like they believe in this project. And you know what? I respect and love the confidence that they have in this new IP. And yeah, man, I'm down for it. I'm looking forward to this. And whew, man, I really do hope it holds up because it is big praise. And if I feel sad about this one, man, I may never be this excited for a game ever again.
A lot riding on it. Uh, I guess I'll go with my number 2 pick here. And you know what, Michael? I'm right there with you in terms of excitement, in terms of my expectations for my number 2 most anticipated game of the year. And honestly, those expectations being a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 game. And that's because my number 2 most anticipated game of 2025 is Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, aka the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, which has a 2025 release window. Michael,
Really?
you know how
You're
much I
going
love.
Yeah, you're going
Metal
with
Gear
Metal
Solid.
Gear. Okay.
This is one of my favorite franchises of all time. Metal Gear Solid 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. It's one of my favorite stories of all time. This game looks absolutely spectacular from what we've seen so far. In terms of like them recreating it, in terms of them going from the classic controls to more of that like over the shoulder, love it. And then they're also giving you the option to go back to the other controls if you want. Like that is so cool, man. Like this seems like they're going to knock it out of the ballpark. And what I'm most excited for isn't just to replay this game that I love so much. It's for people who never got the chance to play Metal Gear Solid 3 to get the chance to play for the first time. Like I cannot wait to hear people's thoughts on this game. Now, granted, it will be a bit of a bummer if people are like, "Ah, man, Metal Gear Solid 3 kind of sucks, doesn't it?" But I doubt that will be the reaction because this game is beloved for a reason, and I see no reason based on the changes they've made to the game that it will be seen as anything other than a absolute classic.
Wow, man, that's also pretty high praise. You're not afraid that they might do something that harms the legacy, like maybe they'll make certain changes to the story or add stuff on a la Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I can't see anything that they could do that would harm this story, I would say. Like nothing they could do I think would be offensive to it. I especially considering the recent remakes, and granted, these are different companies, but for the most part, these remakes have gone pretty well. Whether that be Resident Evil 2 or the Resident Evil 3 one, I know people weren't as big on that as they were with the Resident Evil 2, or even Silent Hill 2, you know?
Okay, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, because
Which I believe is
they
also
made
Bloober Team, right?
yep,
Is
yeah,
it Bloober
yeah.
Team dealing with Metal Gear Solid 3 as well? So it's the same
Actually,
relative.
I would have to look that up.
But while you do that, you mind if I go ahead and get us into our number one game of the year? I think both of us had the same pick.
Oh, I highly doubt we do, but yes, let me hear what your
Oh,
number one
wait a
pick
minute.
is.
Okay, let me get into honorable mentions
Yeah.
then,
All right,
because
go
it looks
ahead.
like Michael threw me a curveball. Honorable mentions. While Michael looks up the Bloober Team Metal Gear Solid stuff, we have Avowed, which comes out on Series X and PC on February 18th. Borderlands 4, which will release on PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC, has a 2025 release window. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach releases on PS5, has a 2025 release window. Dying Light the Beast comes out on consoles and PC, comes out in 2025. Yeah, there's a lot of release dates. Like Michael would hit nail on the head when it's like, oh, it comes out this year. We don't have a specific date yet. We'll see if these games actually do release this year. But we got Fable, which comes out on Series X/S and PC. Civilization 7 comes out on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X/S, Switch, and that releases on February 11th. And lastly, I want to talk about Split Fiction. Comes out on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X on March 11th. And Dispatch, which is console and PC release, comes out in 2025. Now, out of that group, don't really want to fully get into all of them, but I do want to talk about Split Fiction and Dispatch real quick because I didn't really get a chance to talk about, particularly Dispatch, on our Game Awards episode. Game Awards, or not Game Awards, Dispatch has Aaron Paul starring in it. It looks like a Telltale kind of game about in a superhero universe. It looks very interesting to me. Um, Especially in like a Game Award showcase that was so bookended strongly in terms of like big releases. For that to stand out, I think is a big deal. Split Fiction is another game that I think really stood out during the Game Awards. Coming from the It Takes Two director, this is where two writers get put into a merge simulation together. So you have like one sci-fi writer and one fantasy writer who are having to basically like deal with each other's worlds, and each level comes across like so imaginative, and every level seems like it's handcrafted. And there was something I really really loved about that. Michael, I can't wait any longer. What is your number one most anticipated game, and do you have an answer for my blooper team?
Yeah, so it's not Bloober Team. It's actually being
Okay,
done by Konami in house.
okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
so this one's gonna be done in house. And interesting enough, they're actually changing. And I'm looking at Screen Rant right now. That's where I'm getting my information from someone who did play it last year. They replaced directed by Hideo Kojima to originally directed by Hideo Kojima. So they're keeping his name in there.
That's good at least. We'll see whatever that means for the final product, but
Yeah. But yeah, so my number one most anticipated game, and yeah, Taylor, you definitely didn't see this one coming, even though I've talked about this and I've been a fan of this franchise. Sid Meier Civilization 7. That is the game I'm looking forward to the most in
wow.
2025. Yeah, man.
Michael, you know what? You not having GTA 6 in your top 5
uh,
is wild. But you putting Civ 7 at number 1 is so bold that I freaking respect it. And I
yeah.
put Civ 7 as my honorable mention. So that's not even a shot. That's like,
Yeah.
okay, man, I want to hear it. Go on, man.
Yeah, and I'll explain to you why Grand Theft Auto 6 didn't make it into my top 5 after you talk about your number 1. But yeah, Sid Meier's Civ 7, it comes out February 6th. We're so close to it. That's the game I'm looking forward to the most is because I really love the Civilization franchise. Yeah, it's one of those games where you should, I hate to say it, but you should kind of wait about a year uh after it releases because they do have expansions for these things. You know, they always have different scenario expansion for 'em. If you are big into scenarios, which I'm not, I would say you should probably wait until like they do like their gold editions and stuff, to where yeah, you will get those uh, civilization scenarios. You know, as soon as you buy the game. Me, I just like the free play. I like the free form. I like changing the rules, having, you know, 6, 7 AI in there, different difficulty settings, different leaders, you know, changing up the way I have to do things, doing teams with AI. Having a team of 3v3 or 2v2v2 and all this other stuff. It's just it's so much freedom and fun with it, to where you can take the core mechanics of civilization and you know play it your way. If you want to play it as a relaxing kind of thing, you know, put the AI at the easiest difficulty and have a bunch of different neighboring factions and whatnot. It's just so much fun. It's one of those things where you can just play to have fun. You don't have to stress out about it. You can learn the mechanics at your space, at your pace, and you don't have to worry about, oh, I have to have the expansions. Like, no, you can have the base game for 10 plus years and still have fun with it. And, you know, this team has always done such a great job of updating and expanding and keeping up with updates for Civilization. It's one of those games that's a single player, but it's also a live service because you still get new stuff constantly. You know, Fire Access Games does an amazing job with Civilization. They love this franchise. They pour everything they can in there. Yeah, I even went and got the spinoff when it first came out, where you were in outer space and whatnot. It wasn't very good, but I do respect them for trying new things with the Civilization title. I respect that they're always trying to expand on it, change how things work, keep up with tech. You know, it's like, oh yeah, now that you know we have these new RTX cards, we can do a bit more with our maps. You know, we can have better looking terrain, better looking animation, better looking water, because you know seafair is one of those things that's just big in Civilization. If you want, you could change the map to where it's all shit battles for you, where you could just go and be the masters of the seas, or you could just put it to where it's nothing but land with very few water sources, so that way you know you have resources that's all uranium and steel. and stone. Like you play it your way and you change the way you play. It's like, okay, I've been playing for 3 hours. I'm bored. I want to do something else. You can start up a whole new game and just choose a different map, choose different settings, choose different AIs. I just love the freedom that Sid Meier's Civilizations give the player, and I'm looking forward to what they're doing with 7 because I think they learned a lot from 6, and, I
I
can't
hope
wait
they
to see
did.
what this oh, yeah, and I can't wait to see what this team does with Civ 7, and that's why it's my most anticipated game. It won't be my game of the year, but it's just one of those games that I
Oh, we
love
know your game of the
playing.
year.
Oh, yeah, no, I was talking about giving you my number 2, but
Yeah.
Civ 7 it's just that it's my relaxing game. It's the game that I play when I don't want to deal with story and I don't want to deal with multiplayer and I just want a fun game to play. It's just one of those games I go to work, come home, want to relax, and I play this game for hours. It's one of those games that gives me that old school feeling of one more turn. Let me just play this. And you look up, you've been playing for 2.5 hours, 3 hours. You play at sun up, and next thing you know, oh man, I'm getting kind of hungry. What time is it? Oh, it's 6 o'clock at night and the sun's going down. I haven't eaten yet. I know it sounds unhealthy, but I love when a game makes
That's
me feel that
incredibly
way.
bad,
Yeah. So yeah, Civ
but I think
7.
we've all been there.
Yeah, oh man, we have. And Civ 7 is my number one most anticipated game because I love having that feeling and I love Civilization as a franchise and I love Fire Axis games because when they do turn-based games, they put their all into it. And I am looking forward to what this team has brought up to us.
Man, there's nothing I could add to what you said that you did not already say. Like you hit the nail on the head. I am incredibly excited for Civilization 7. Was not a big fan of 6. I'll just say that up front.
Yeah, no, 6 was a
So,
bit of a disappointment. It was still good, but yeah, 5, 5, 4 and 5 was just great. And it's like, ah, you guys kind of dropped the ball with 6.
yeah, man, I don't know. I haven't enjoyed a Civilization in some time. I love the franchise, but the last few haven't been the best. So I think that's like the hype around Civ 7 is it's not like the expectations are so high. It's that just give me a good experience. All right, I'm down because I really
Yeah.
want a good Civ game.
Yeah.
So I'm right there with you in terms of excitement. I didn't have it on my list, but what I did have on my list is what you left off, and that's GTA 6. And I feel like we got to get this out of the way. Michael, why did you not have GTA 6 on your list?
Okay. So for me, I didn't have GTA 6 on there. It's because it's Grand Theft Auto. It's just one of those things. It's okay. It's like when you and I talk about Turn 10 and the Forza series, to where no matter how good it looks and everything they do, we're just kind of like, yeah, it's Turn 10. It's Forza. We kinda expect it to look good. We expect it to play good. We're not surprised by it. It's just when you get so good at something, it's just no longer surprising. I leave it off of my anticipation list because I didn't feel the anticipation for GTA 6. I don't feel hyped for it. Am I excited? Yes. Do I want Grand Theft Auto 6? Absolutely. Will I be playing it day one? You already know it. But these games that I put on my list gave me a joy of anticipation of waiting for him of like, oh man, I want this now. Just like last year when we played Rivals, I was like, oh man, it's December yet, I want to play Rivals now. I don't get that feeling for Grand Theft Auto 6. It's just like, yeah, I already know I'm going to get it. I already know I'm going to play the game. These games are just like, oh man, I want to watch the trailer. Oh man, when does it come out? Oh, why doesn't it have a solid date? Oh my goodness, I really want to play these. And I just don't get that feeling with Grand Theft Auto 6 because, again, like Forza, we already know it's a game we're going to get. And it's a game we're just like, yep, it gets here when it gets here. So I'm in no
I see what
rush.
you mean. I see what you mean. It's kind of like how you act around friends, like people you've been friends with your whole life, compared to friends that you've known for like a year and a half, right? Like, there's a different vibe there. And with GTA,
Yeah.
it's a franchise that's been there, and you're like, look, I love GTA. It's not that I don't love this franchise or I'm not excited for GTA 6. It's just that we've been through a lot. All right. So I know, like, I have a general consensus on what to expect for GTA 6. We'll get there when we get there, but here's 5 games that I was excited for that weren't GTA 6. I get it. That's a very solid argument.
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel very glad that I picked GTA 6 because the comments would absolutely roast us if neither of us had this game on our list. But this is going to, if it does release in 2025, break all the records. Like absolutely every single one. It's going to demolish them, as it should. I'm rewatching the first trailer right now while talking about it. Like, you remember when the first trailer dropped? How
We got
wild it did
we
get.
we got a teaser like what in 2023?
Uh, yeah, I think so. I think it was the end of 2023 where they showed like the clips of Vice City, and there was a bunch of social media stuff. So there's a lot of speculation of like, oh, is social media going to have like a big impact on this game? Like, are you going to have your own profile that you could like stream on there and all that? And we still have no information beyond this trailer, like no official information beyond this trailer. And Rockstar is is just sitting there going like, we'll release trailer 2 when we're good and ready. We're not good and ready.
Yeah, and I can kind of respect that. It's like, yeah, we know you guys are excited for this, but yeah, no, we're not ready. It's like, man, at this point, where's at least a teaser for gameplay or something? Like Dev Diaries it will probably start around this summer if they really are going to release at the end or close to the end of 20. No, they said the fall, right? They're planning on the
It says
fall of.
coming 2025 at the end of the trailer. That's all it says.
Okay. Yeah, I think I wanted to say I read a post from the developers that said they were planning a fall release, but yeah.
Well, it's not going to come out in spring. They're not about to just shadow drop GTA 6.
No, 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 no. But I'm just saying, like, close to the end of the year, fall, December, like, it's not going to be a summer game.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like, so I'm guessing around June or July is when we start getting like the dev stuff to get people hyped. But I'm just like, man, if you guys are gonna release in 2025, you can ease our worries by releasing something or another. Like I'm kind of worried about that. So yeah, I think that GTA 6 might actually get pushed back to 26. To be honest.
That's entirely possible. And I know there's been rumors going around online about it. I think also if you just like read in between the tea leaves here, and you're looking at, okay, it's been a long time since that first trailer. Rockstar claimed it's coming in 2025. We're now in 2025. We don't have trailer 2. Rockstar's being very tight-lipped, to put it mildly, about this game. While they could very well do exactly what you're talking about, just load up on content throughout the spring and summer, and then we get the game in fall. It is also possible that this game gets pushed back to early 2026. Really, I know a lot of people, including myself, really hoping it comes out this year. I do understand though if they push it back to 2026. I do feel bad for the games that are sitting there in early 2026 though, because that's got to sting.
Oh yeah, everybody know at that point everybody's pushing back. In fact, from what I understand, there are some games that the reason they have announced of 2025 but no release dates because they're waiting. They're waiting to see when Grand Theft Auto 6 drops.
So
So
they can
some
stay
games,
away from it.
yeah,
Like,
so
so they know
yeah,
whether or not that they can sit at their release window that they wanted, or hey, let's push this back into 2026. And then it becomes a thing of if Rockstar goes back to delaying GTA 6 into 2026. Those early 26 games are going to go like, okay, now we got to push back. So
yeah.
it is
So
pretty much like the entire industry is waiting on this game to finally figure out when it's coming out.
yeah, I think Rockstar knows that, and they're not telling anybody like fall or winter. They're just like, yeah, no, 2025. Like, bro, don't do this to. Because I was looking up a list of games releasing in the summertime. We know there's a bunch of games coming in the summertime, but I noticed there's a huge chunk during the summertime between I want to say June to October where there's just this huge gap of no games there. So like this is 4 to 5 month gap of no games. And I think it's because they're waiting to see what Grand Theft Auto is going to release.
Yeah. Either way, the first trailer that we got, the only trailer we've gotten so far, was absolutely spectacular. I really liked a lot of the. For one, I really like us going back to Vice City. That's something that I think a lot of people have wanted. I wouldn't have been opposed to going back to Liberty City, but just us getting out of Los Santos, as much as I love Los Santos, man, we've been there for what 12 years at this point because
Man, who knows?
what GTA 5 was what 2013.
Yeah, there are kids who are adults now who grew up with that one Grand Theft Auto game. So yeah, that's like the only Grand Theft Auto they know.
Yeah, we needed a break from Los Santos and going back to Vice City. I think is a really good thing. Also really glad from the vibe that I get from the trailer is they're going to take the story pretty seriously, or at least somewhat seriously. And I really prefer that, like that GTA 4, Red Dead Redemption 2 style of storytelling over what we got in GTA 5. That's not to say like GTA 5 is a bad story or anything. The fact that they were in Hollywood basically and they were telling this very action Michael Bay esque action movie video game thing, that was all cool. But I think going back to telling a more character focused, serious story is perfect for not just the setting, but for this franchise.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm interested in this game. Don't get me wrong, it's Grand Theft Auto. Of course I'm excited. But yeah, man, it's just there were other games that just gave me that feeling of want, of excitement. With Grand Theft Auto, I'm just like, I can wait, you know. When it
We'll
drops,
talk
it's
about
when
it
it's gonna
enough.
drop.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
we'll talk about GTA 6 a lot throughout this year on the show. I'm sure of it, regardless if it comes out this year or not. But Michael, let's go ahead and get out of here, man. Let's talk about what we're working on and where the people can find us. Michael, what you be working on and where can the people find you?
Well, other than being an Easter bunny soon, I am working on
That
just a
sounds
couple of
weird out of context. I just gotta tell you.
Yeah. For anybody who didn't listen to our last
Tune in to last
podcast.
week. Yeah, tune in to last week for the
Yeah.
context.
Yeah, go watch our last episode for context on
This
that one.
man's playing all the holiday mascots this year.
Yeah, my time as Santa isn't over. But yeah, other than doing the Easter Bunny this year, I'm just working on some videos. If Tiki Talk decides to go away forever, I gotta rebuild everything on another platform. So I'm working on that. But you can find me on X/Twitter at M_MOSLEY_JR. You also find me on streaming. I'm streaming again, and I'm streaming with some friends over at Amway Anime. Shout out to them. They've been awesome to me. I've been streaming with them on Twitch, and you can find me on twitch.tv/Fox Daddy. That's F0XDADDY. What about you, Taylor? What are you working on, and where can the people find you?
All I gotta say is thank God nobody's reached out to you to play Cupid as well.
Hey man, just hey, I look good in a diaper. I'm pretty sure I do. I would throw that on. Give me a
I was
bow and
about to say, how do
arrow.
you know that? But let's
Oh,
just
come
go
on.
ahead and move on. I think it's best that we just go ahead and move on. As
Everybody
for
noticed how
what I'm
Cupid
working on,
looks.
where can you can find me? You can find me in our Discord, the link for which is in the description of this very episode. Yet again, just gotta say, we'd love to hear your thoughts on your most anticipated games of the year. Be sure to drop them down in the comments of this episode or in our Discord. We prefer the Discord, but we understand if you just want to leave a comment. Lastly, we are a podcast courtesy of thenerdstash.com. Be sure to check out the Nerd Stash. I promise you it's much better than this podcast. Uh, with all sorts of news in the world of gaming, movies, television, and so much more. I want to thank Michael for joining me, and he will be hosting the next episode. I want to thank anyone for listening in. I want to thank our fine editors over at the Nerd Stash who post the article write ups each and every week. And I want to thank Amir who creates the featured images for those articles. We'll be back soon with the next installment of Power Up in Game. We'll see you then.
Bye.